Today on D&D Academia, we discuss the medium monstrosity, the Rust Monster. You can find this creature in the Monster Manual. The Rust Monster has a challenge rating of a half, armor class of 14, and 27 hit points. It has a speed of 40 feet, dark vision of 60 feet, and a passive perception of 11. It does not understand any languages, and it has a proficiency bonus of +2. The Rust Monster has Iron Scent, where it can pinpoint by scent the location of ferrous or iron-based metal within 30 feet of it. Any non-magical weapon made out of metal that hits the Rust Monster corrodes. After dealing damage, the weapon takes a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to damage rolls. If its penalty drops to -5, the weapon is destroyed. Non-magical ammunition made of metal that hits the Rust Monster is destroyed after dealing damage. Now, I think magical items should still be affected. Here is my suggestion. If the weapon, armor, shield, etc. has a plus bonus, begin taking away from that before adding the penalties. So for instance, a +2 sword goes down to a +1 before taking penalties. Additionally, if the item has a magical ability, figure out a way to dilute the ability before adding the penalties. For example, if they have an armor of resistance, that resistance is gone before the penalties start. As for actions, the Rust Monster gets Bite, which is a melee weapon attack, with a +3 to hit and a reach of 5 feet on one target. If it hits, it does 1d8 +1 piercing damage. The Rust Monster can also use its antenna to corrode as an action. The Rust Monster corrodes a non-magical ferrous metal object it can see within 5 feet of it. If the object isn't being worn or carried, the touch destroys a 1-foot cube of it. If the object is being worn or carried by a creature, the creature can make a DC 11 dexterity saving throw to avoid the Rust Monster's touch. If the object touched is either metal armor or a metal shield being worn or carried, it takes a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to the AC it offers. Armor reduced to an AC of 10, or a shield that drops to a +0 bonus is destroyed. If the object touched is a held metal weapon, it rusts as described in the rust metal trait. Here is the lore of the Rust Monster. Most dwarves would rather face a squad of orcs than confront a single Rust Monster. These strange, normally docile creatures corrode ferrous metals, then gobble up the rust they create. In doing so, they have ruined the armor, shields, and weapons of countless adventurers. A Rust Monster's body is covered in thick, lumpy armor. Its long tail ends in a bony protrusion, and 2 feathery antennae sprout from its insectile head. Rust Monsters roam subterranean passages in search of ferrous metals such as iron, steel, adamantine, and mithril to consume. They ignore creatures not carrying such metals, but can become aggressive towards those bearing steel weapons and armor. A Rust Monster can smell its food at a distance, immediately dashing towards the scent source to corrode and consume the object. A Rust Monster doesn't care if the rust it consumes comes from a spike or a sword. Adventurers can distract the creature by dropping ferrous objects behind them. Rust Monsters are rarely found in large numbers, preferring to hunt alone or in small groups. They meander along tunnels, moving from cave to cave in their tireless search for ferrous metals to consume. Their wanderings often bring them into contact with underdark denizens that find them harmless or unappetizing. Thus, Rust Monsters may be found in close proximity to other subterranean monsters. If they are well treated and well fed, they can also become friendly companions or pets. As the dungeon master, you could create an encounter where if the party is caught, they have to watch as their captors toss their items into a pit of Rust Monsters. allow for an opportunity to escape and fight, but can they get to their items in time? If you go the route of acquiring one as a pet or companion and are willing to put them in harm's way, you could cast an enlarge reduce spell on the creature and send it into a barracks of an opposing faction. If reduced, then it might go unseen and cause some damage here and there. If enlarged, then it might cause quite the chaotic scene as multiple items become rusted and ruined. In the scenario of having this creature on your side, perhaps the dungeon master would allow some sort of rule where if the creature consumes a certain amount of items or weight, it could heal itself. If you want an interesting and far more dangerous change for these creatures, how about a pack of them that are highly aggressive and perhaps enhanced in such a way that they can smell and seek out the iron in blood? When they attack, maybe they start deteriorating the body of the one they are attacking. Or, if that is too harsh, perhaps there could be a constitution save the victim has to make, and each time they fail, they gain a level of exhaustion, as if the depletion of the iron is making them weaker. This has been D&D Academia's episode about the monstrosity known as the Rust Monster. Hopefully, this has piqued your interest and will cause you to use these creatures in your own game. Otherwise, if there is anything you'd like to see get an Academia episode, please mention it in the comments. And as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.